Please, let's take our seats. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, President Sergio, Mattarella, ambassadors, honorable ministers, distinguished officials, members of the media, good afternoon. I take this opportunity to appreciate and express deep gratitude to His Excellency, President Sergio Mattarella, the President of the Italian Republic, who has honored us by making this long-awaited visit to Kenya. It has been a tremendous privilege, Your Excellency, to receive you and your delegation. We've just concluded Okay, thank you very much. We have just concluded a highly successful bilateral engagement in which we held productive discussions and agreed to consolidate and advance the good relations between our two countries. Our two countries established diplomatic relations in 1964, and Italy has been a valued partner to the Republic of Kenya in political, economic, social, defense, and security cooperation. In our deliberations, the President and I agreed to deepen and expand these relations for the benefit of the people of our two countries. Our meeting provided us with the opportunity to discuss at great length modalities of enhancing trade and investment between Kenya and Italy. I am delighted to announce that the President of Italy, President Mattarella, and I witnessed the signing of two agreements, two MOUs, and a joint declaration to provide a framework for advancement of bilateral cooperation in different fields. We have signed an MOU through which our two countries shall cooperate in the fields of health towards the realization of universal health coverage and improved pharmaceutical production. We have also signed an MOU on bilateral consultations that will be established and set guidelines for the conduct of political consultations at the respective ministries of foreign affairs. We've also committed in good faith to re-establish cooperation on the construction of Aror, Kimorer, and Itare dams and other water and sanitation projects which are critical to our agenda on food security, delivery of water, and climate action. I am very proud to announce that the 3 dams which were subject to court cases and court matters, we have now agreed on a framework to settle all the outstanding court cases and court matters, and have agreed that the facilities that had been provided for the construction of these dams will be renegotiated so that we can provide for the delivery of the dams and the implementation of the projects. The government of Italy has also committed to advance 100 million euros in grants and soft loans covering projects in agriculture, development of MSMEs, housing and urban settlement, health, the digital superhighway, and the creative economy. This will be done through the Kenya-Italy multi-annual 5-year cooperation strategy on sustainable development. We further committed to cooperate in enhancing our informal settlement redevelopment program, which our two countries recently launched to facilitate security of land tenure in informal settlements in various counties, including Kilifi, Siaya, and Ngong municipalities. And further, this is an opportunity to appreciate Italy for the Debt for Development program, which has provided tremendous support of water, health, education, and urban development programs. Our two countries, at political and technical levels, agreed to remove non-tariff barriers and to promote greater trade and increased investment, including negotiating avoidance of double taxation agreement, which will usher in significant high levels of foreign direct investment in various sectors by both public and private Italian companies. We also exchanged views and shared ideas about emerging opportunities to improve the balance of trade between our two nations, including cooperation in agro-industrial, ICT, and biofuel projects, among others. Kenya is highly encouraged by the great interest shown by Italian investors in the Concert Technopolis, where a number have already set up business. With this visit, we are confident that even more investors will take up the myriad of opportunities in the project, including the financing that was graciously extended to the government of Kenya by Italy for the horizontal development of facilities in Concert City. Kenya and Italy are in agreement that climate change and other environmental challenges must be addressed within the context of sustainable development. As a result, our meeting provided us an opportunity to explore the possibility of a stronger collective voice in pursuit of common regional and global priorities, especially through increased support for green, sustainable energy policies. Kenya will use this understanding to seek partnership and investments with Italian firms, especially in the geothermal space, and later this month there will be a conference that will profile opportunities in the green energy space between Kenyan and Italian companies. For Kenya and the world, especially countries in the global south, to successfully surmount the global crisis of climate emergency, the biodiversity loss and pollution, more and better financing is indispensable. We have therefore initiated the overdue conversation about the need to reimagine and reform the international financial system to make it responsive, climate sensitive, and fit for purpose. In consideration of the need to articulate the opportunities and pursue greater progress in the green agenda for Kenya and Africa, I have informed President Mattarella that I am convening a Climate Action Summit in Nairobi from 4th to 6th September, this year, to which, Your Excellency, I invite you once again. I have assured the President of Kenya's strong position as a regional hub for investment, commerce, and other services, and the most attractive gateway to the East African COMESA and Africa Continental Free Trade Area markets. I therefore encourage Italian businesses to take full advantage of our position to grow their local, regional, and continental footprints. In our meeting, President Mattarella and I also had the opportunity to discuss issues of regional and international significance. We pledged to work together in securing a peaceful future for parts of our respective continents affected by conflict and instability. Kenya appreciates Italy's pledge to support our efforts to restore regional peace and security, including in the Horn of Africa, the efforts we are making in our sister country in Ethiopia, in South Sudan, and in DRC, not to forget the combined efforts we have in Somalia. Additionally, we agreed to collaborate bilaterally at the United Nations and other multilateral forums on the basis of convergence of values, principles, and positions to promote peace and security, promote trade, health, climate action, and the elimination of hunger and malnutrition. Our meeting also considered the initiation of the bilateral cooperation in such vital sectors as the art, culture, science, and technology. In this connection, President Mattarella will visit the Luigi Broglio Space Center in Malindi, which is funded by the Italian government with the support of Kenyan government. Further, we agreed that our bilateral cooperation should enhance mutual benefit of the center's output in scientific and technological research for sustainable development in Kenya and globally. On this highly successful visit, President Mattarella and I reaffirmed the strong bonds of friendship and solidarity that hold our nations and peoples together. This state visit is a clear demonstration of the commitment we share to enhance bilateral ties through continuous dialogue and sustained exchange of knowledge. Once again, I thank you, President Mattarella, for the honor of your visit and for the fruitful deliberations and productive engagements we have undertaken today. You have made tremendous contribution to the historic project of growing the bilateral relations between Kenya and Italy and in driving our national socio-economic transformation together. Ladies and gentlemen, I now welcome you, Mr. President, to make your remarks. Welcome.
Desidero anzitutto ringraziare molto il
First of all, allow me to
Ruto per
thank President Ruto very much
questo benvenuto, per
for his
l'accoglienza
welcome,
calorosa e amichevole che ha
very warm and
riservato
friendly
a
welcome
me e alla delegazione che mi accompagna.
to myself and to my accompanying
È
delegation.
un'accoglienza nel segno dell'amicizia
It is a
tra i
welcome in the
nostri
sign of
paesi.
friendship between our two countries, and I wish to thank you very much, President Ruto, for this demonstration of friendship. I am very pleased and honored to be in Nairobi today with a state visit that I was forced to postpone due to the pandemic a few years ago. And I'm very happy that the state visit can take place in this very important year, which marks the 60th anniversary of Kenya's independence. Italy considers Kenya to be a virtuous example of democracy, and it is a model for social and economic development. Our countries have excellent and consolidated relations, which are proof of the friendship between our two peoples. Mr. President, we consider Kenya to be a very important partner for Italy. On the bilateral level, but also due to its role in this very important region in Africa, on the continent, and within the international community. We underlined and developed how important these very excellent relations are through the signings of the agreements that you graciously mentioned a few minutes ago, and which are proof of how much our collaboration is advancing. Other agreements will follow, of course, after the agreements we signed this morning, also because our business communities have plenty of links and plenty of very intense collaboration. Several Italian companies operate here in Kenya, including on a number of very important projects in several sectors. And this goes to show that we collaborate in a number of crucial sectors, and that is something we intend to foster in a very intense way. And as President Ruto was graciously mentioning, this also includes the building of dams, which are such an important project, and the Italian government wishes to contribute very intensely to their swift finalization and overcoming the difficulties that we faced. The strengthening of our relations was something we discussed during our meeting this morning, and we are very much on the same page in terms of our intentions and in terms of the way forward. I'm also very happy to underscore Italy's contribution to a number of Kenyan startups, and the important entrepreneurial activities which are conducted here and which are so stimulating. We also discussed the importance of cultural cooperation. This is something President Ruto and I discussed at length. Scientific and technological cooperation has reached excellent levels, of course. The Malindi Space Center is an example of success, and that's something that we will jointly work on together in the future, with shared responsibilities, with shared governance. It is a project that we want to stimulate and to foster. Scientific and technological development is something that we wish to intensify in the future. Along with that, of course, we wish to strengthen the cultural cooperation between our countries, between our universities, students, and young people, because this is a way of fostering further and stronger friendship. It is a way to exchange knowledge and important concepts, which are mutually important, of course. President Ruto, as I mentioned during our meeting, and this is something I wish to reiterate publicly, Italy feels that Kenya is a pillar of stability in this important region in Africa. We very much appreciated the crucial role played by you, Mr. President, your government, the role that Kenya as a whole has played in Ethiopia, so that we could solve the dramatic confrontation between the Ethiopian government and the Tigray region. And the Pretoria Agreement is also the outcome of your essential contribution, of Kenya's essential contribution, so that Ethiopia, your neighboring country, could reach peace and stability. And we stand with Kenya in fostering peace, development, and cooperation, so that the entire region can go towards development and peace, which of course clashes are a huge obstacle too. There is a great deal of concern regarding the tensions in the Great Lakes region and in the Horn of Africa, and we fully support the initiatives being developed by Kenya, such as the Nairobi process, the goal of which is to develop a culture of peace and social and economic development. Also, because of that, we are convinced of the fact that we have to intensify the collaboration between the European Union and Kenya, so that we can contribute to Kenya's precious work in terms of fostering peace, development, and social and economic growth. Kenya and Italy, as we mentioned this morning, once again, Mr. President, share a vision regarding international relations, a vision based on multilateralism, on the search for dialogue and peace. We share the refusal to war and aggression. That's why Italy has supported firmly the presence of Kenya within the United Nations Security Council, which was extremely successful. I wish to mention Kenya's appeal to the international community to pay closer attention to the needs of the global South. Italy shares and supports this appeal, this crucial plea, so that the world can head towards a more equitable distribution of resources and well-being, and so that we can have more cooperation, and cooperation based on solidarity. And I'd like to go back to what President Ruto said so wisely regarding the climate and the climate emergency we face. Hopefully, Nairobi can have some rain today. But of course, the drought that you have been witnessing in the region in recent years is something alarming, and it is a symptom of the serious consequences brought about by climate change. This is something we feel everywhere, including in Europe and in Italy. We truly need rain. We're seeing a decrease in the snow on our mountains and in our glaciers, which are a consequence of climate change. That's why Kenya and Italy share the same awareness, and we wish to urge the international community to proceed swiftly in taking all the decisions needed to curb the atmosphere's pollution, and so that we can deal with climate change in an effective way. By doing so, we will lay the foundations for future well-being and future development that our young people and the future generations can reap the benefits of. And due to a far-sighted choice made by President Kenyatta, Kenya's first president, Nairobi hosts the United Nations Environment Program headquarters, which underscores how important it is to act in a tangible way, and increasingly so, to curb climate change. And hopefully the upcoming COP28 summit in Dubai will lead to a growing and tangible commitment so that we can commit together to counter climate change. All of these topics need a common commitment on the international community side. And on these topics, including health, climate, migration, development, and a greater balance in international well-being, in all these topics, Kenya and Italy share a common vision, and we intend to develop our collaboration very much in the future. Thank you once again, Mr. President, for your welcome. Thank you for the friendship which unites us.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Your Excellencies. We'll now take the first two questions. Kindly introduce yourself and the media house you represent as you ask your question.
Good afternoon. My name is Chimutai Goel from Citizen TV, and I have one question. Mr. President, you addressed a matter that is at the heart of many, the issue of the suspended construction of the three dams, Aror and Kimwarer in Elgeyo Marakwet County, and Itare Dam in Bomet County, Nakuru County, sorry. And you have mentioned that you are renegotiating the terms of engagement. We would want to know, in this renegotiation, is the financing of those projects going to change in light of the fact that when the matter came up, there were questions about opaque financing agreements. And if that is changing, have you set out timelines within which you're expecting to have settled the matter and have the dam's construction take off? Thank you.
I'm happy to answer that.
Okay, so maybe I could, I think that question was directed to me. So let me say the following. As I made a commitment to the people of Kenya that we are going to resolve the issues surrounding Itare, Aror, and Kimwarer dams, an issue that was that has stalled the construction of those three dams now for almost 3 years. I am happy to report to the nation that the government of Kenya and the government of Italy have agreed, and in fact, the process of sorting out the matters in court has already started in earnest. We, as the government of Kenya, are going to withdraw the cases filed against the companies, and the government of Italy and the contractors are also going to withdraw the arbitration cases. We have agreed that the restart of this projects is not only urgent, it is priority, it is necessary, because it's going to supply water to many towns in Nakuru County and Kericho County and many other areas in Baringo and Elgeyo Marakwet County. We have agreed that the financing that was already made available is going to be restructured, and the projects are going to start. We intend to clear the court issues in the next 1 month and be able to start the process of negotiating the restructuring of financing, and hopefully we should be able to go on with the construction of these dams in a matter of months. That is the agreement that the two governments have agreed on. Thank you very much.
Non tocca a me rispondere, ma vorrei dire che apprezzo e condivido la risposta del Presidente Ruto.
Ferrara, Sky, TG24, Sky News. Presidente Mattarella, una domanda che rivolgo poi anche al Presidente Ruto. Sappiamo che il tema dei migranti non è un tema principale al centro di questi colloqui, ma resta pur sempre un tema di stretta e purtroppo sempre più spesso tragica attualità per il nostro Paese, per l'Italia, per il Mediterraneo, Italia frontiera marittima dell'Europa, anche alla luce delle ultime notizie, delle ultime ipotesi di centinaia.
Deve parlare più
Just hold
vicino al
on. I
microfono.
think the President is not hearing what you say.
Dicevo, Presidente, che il tema dei migranti sappiamo non essere un tema tra i temi principali al centro di questi colloqui, ma resta pur sempre un tema di stretta attualità e sempre più spesso tragica attualità per il nostro Paese, Paese di frontiera mediterranea, di frontiera dell'Europa, anche alla luce delle ultime notizie, delle ultime ipotesi di centinaia di migliaia di possibili partenze dal Nord Africa alla volta dell'Italia. Lei ha sempre indicato come via quella di aprire dei canali formali e di collaborazione con i Paesi di origine dei flussi. Ebbene, il rapporto privilegiato tra Italia e Kenya, tra Roma e Nairobi, può essere un modello di riferimento come cooperazione allo sviluppo in settori importanti, lo abbiamo sentito,
in the development of important
tecnologia,
sectors.
ricerca,
You mentioned
ambiente,
technology, research,
scientifici, anche da
the
questo punto di
environment,
vista
you
può essere
mentioned
un modello di
science.
riferimento
Do you
in tal
think the
senso?
relations between Italy and Kenya can be an example even when it comes to migration? It certainly can be an example, because the cooperation between Italy and Kenya has reached excellent levels, and they truly can be a benchmark for everyone, which can be replicated everywhere. We have excellent relations with all countries, of course, and we would like to continue having excellent relations with everyone. Also because we can only deal with common problems if we cooperate well. This, of course, applies to all of the issues you mentioned, beginning with migration. We want to have good cooperation with the countries of origin and the countries of transit when it comes to migration, but we know that the dimension of migration, its entity, which is growing everywhere in the world, cannot be dealt with only bilaterally. Migration can only be dealt with together in a well-organized European action that can deal with this major issue in an effective way. This, of course, affects the Mediterranean route, but it also affects the Balkan route. These are two elements which intersect. And through good bilateral cooperation, of course, we can become more aware and we can have a more organic approach within the framework of the European Union on all topics, including migration.
Good afternoon, Your Excellencies. My name is Leila Mohammed from NTV Kenya. Both you Excellencies, Italy has invested a lot in Kenya in terms of the tourism sector. In your deliberations this morning, have you discussed on ways in which Kenyans can also invest in the Italian economy? And President Ruto, you spoke about President Mattarella giving Kenya a pat on the back in terms of diplomacy in ensuring peace in the region. How then do you take this conversation in terms of enabling Kenya to undertake its peace mandate within the region in terms of any form of assistance, whether financial or otherwise? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think in the context of our conversation this morning and afternoon, the issue of Kenya playing a pivotal role as a stabilizing factor in our region was an issue that was discussed. We have agreed that Italy, through the EU, will be supporting our efforts, both in Somalia, where the EU is a very big player in supporting our troops in Somalia. We have also agreed that we will be having a conversation later this month when I visit Brussels on what the EU can do to support our troops and the interventions we are making in DRC Congo, where again the conversation is going to be about the participation of Italy and the EU in supporting our efforts in stabilizing our region. And it goes a long way in responding to the issue that was earlier asked to President Mattarella about migration. The best way to encourage reasonable migration and ensuring that there is equitable development everywhere in the globe is to make sure that there are opportunities everywhere in the globe. The conversation we are having with the EU is on how they can support us in the continent to unlock the huge possibilities to our young people in green energy, in green agriculture, in green industrialization that will then ensure that opportunities are available in every part of the globe, not just in sections of the globe. And as you are aware, the EU, including Italy, is the single largest market of Kenyan exports. That conversation, I am going to further it when I go to Brussels on how using the economic partnership agreements that are in discussion, we can facilitate, we can expand more market for our products from tea, coffee, horticulture, avocados, and all the other crops that we are engaged in. So it is a balanced conversation where Italy is investing in Kenya, and Kenya is also benefiting from the market that is expanded in the EU, including in Italy. Thank you.
Aggiungo una breve risposta che il Presidente Ruto ha già
Let me add a
dato in
brief
maniera
answer to the things
Abbiamo
President
parlato
Ruto said so well.
Vi sono dei problemi comuni.
We mentioned the fact that Italy and Kenya face common issues, including security. Security is a problem which has very much to do with the international community, especially for those European countries that have relations with those parts of the world in which those problems exist. Together with President Ruto, we mentioned the need for the European Union to continue supporting and to intensify its support to the actions developed by Kenya. We appreciate Kenya's presence in the Democratic Republic of Congo within the framework of the multinational force to guarantee security. Obviously, the European Union and European countries can cooperate based on the requests they received from countries in the region, and we have to make sure that we work within the European Union to ensure this support and cooperation. Good morning, Barbara Tealdi from the AGI News Agency. You both mentioned drought, the dramatic conditions in both Kenya and Africa regarding drought, which also has an impact on Italy, of course. What solutions can be implemented on the international level, and what can we do nationally? Do you think the National Recovery and Resilience Plan can help us dealing with the issue of drought? Let me answer first so that President Ruto can then conclude. The issue of drought, as we've mentioned already, stems from climate change. And it is a matter which is creating major difficulties, major problems, which have an impact on very many different sectors. Droughts affect many different parts of the world, and droughts lead to a food crisis, which creates pressure on migration. There are places in the world in which food security no longer exists due to the effects of drought, and understandably that leads to migration. Therefore, climate change is an essential topic we have to deal with. And we also feel the effects of droughts in Europe, as I mentioned earlier. And we cannot forget the tragic events of the melting of a glacier, which led to a landslide with several casualties in Italy. There is a growing awareness around the world regarding how committed we have to be to countering climate change. And as far as Italy is concerned, we have a number of tools that we will be implementing usefully. And of course, the government of Italy is committed to the struggle against climate change. And Italy has contributed very much during the Sharm el-Sheikh summit, the most recent COP summit. We also contributed to the Paris summit and to the Brasilia summit because Italy understands that we need to have an effective way to counter pollution and climate change. We regret the fact that some countries don't understand that this issue can no longer be postponed. It cannot be postponed. We have to deal with it now and in a very determined way, and Italy and Kenya are very much on the same page.
I couldn't agree more with what President Mattarella has said. As part of our contribution as a nation to managing the effects of climate change, including the drought that is ravaging not just Kenya, but the Horn of Africa and many parts of the globe, we made a deliberate decision as a nation that we will slow down the exploitation of our hydrocarbons. And we have made a deliberate drive to green energy. And that is why 92% of our grid is renewable energy. I urge all other countries still in the business of exploiting hydrocarbons to change course and join the rest of the globe in marching towards green energy. Secondly, as a country, we have a robust program of planting 15 billion trees in our nation as part of our contribution managing our environment. I even received a report this morning that our armed forces, the military specifically, have given me a report that they will be planting 500 million trees as part of their contribution towards the 15 billion trees that we intend to plant as a nation. And more importantly, it is the reason why President Mattarella and I were having a conversation about climate change and about climate financing and how we need to reform the international financial system to respond to the existential threat that is faced on us by climate change. And as a country, we are already in the process of developing legislation around carbon markets and carbon trading and carbon and climate financing, so that we can effectively contribute towards changing the international financial system to effectively respond to the threat of climate change, and so that as a globe, as humanity, we can work together towards ensuring that we secure our globe and we manage the effects of climate change. So that is, as President Mattarella said, it is a conversation that cannot wait. It is a conversation that we must have as a matter of urgency. And that's why it became a very big portion of our conversation this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellencies. That marks the end of the first part of activities for this state visit. President William Ruto will later this evening host President Sergio Mattarella for a state